All right, now, Mark, what about this? What about some of this nonsense about the reaction to Trump and what he did? Look, I thought it was a great video. Probably could have tweeted it, but they just lose their brain whenever he fights back. And the truth is, he's always going to fight back.
Well, it's an interesting thing to watch because you see Trump, they say, breaking all the rules. Now, at the end of the day, it's his media briefing. It's his briefing for the media.
Yeah, good point.
But the media's got such a proprietorial view over the way politics should happen. They think everything's set up for them, for their pleasure, for their glorification, for their praise. And Trump gave it to them on the basis that, of course, they've been attacking him for acting too slowly. And the opposite was true, that in every significant decision, he was way ahead of what the media critics were saying. And when he closed the border there with China, he was condemned by large parts of the leftist media in the United States and also by the Democrats as being xenophobic and racist. And the WHO sort of implied that as well. So it's hard to criticise a guy for losing control over the pandemic when he was criticised consistently at the time for doing things to close down the spread of the virus, criticised by the usual suspects.
Well, of course, Troy, you would agree with me that this is one of the greatest presidents of all time, doing an amazing job. I know I'm trying to bait you here. What do you think about this here, where, as Mark says, it's the president and whatever the president wants to talk about? Do you think the video was fine then or should have been tweeted?
No, look, I think it is something that probably is better suited to Twitter or Facebook or something like that. The media briefings are important. I don't think that some of the networks have acted appropriately in the United States by saying they're not going to cover them at all. I mean, they should be covered. He's the president of the United States, but that also doesn't mean that he shouldn't be exempted from rigorous scrutiny, accountability, and criticism where warranted. Now, some of the criticism of Donald Trump has been over the top, but my views on him are well known. I think he's particularly president. But, you know, it is what it is. And with that first set of clips you showed where the media were criticising Donald Trump, how he was running his media conference, were really over the top. And that just plays to his base. I mean, he does go up in the polls when he is attacking the media and picking fights. So I'm not sure that that's the best way to tackle Donald Trump. But, you know, let's have a reasonable discussion about how well he has handled coronavirus. Some things he did well, like banning travel from China. But he also said there was nothing to worry about. Hardly anybody would get it. It was a bit of a hoax. It was under control. And those statements at the outset of the crisis have proven to be horribly wrong. But yes, this works for Trump, attacking the media. And when the media attack him back, that just helps him even more.
I mean, also, Rita, the little things on the bottom of the screen, in America they call them chyrons, or the lower third, that little thing that gets written up about what people are saying. And you want to talk about two worldviews. The Biden booster network, CNN is on one side, Fox is on the other. I'll let people see the exact same moment interpreted in two very different ways. But I just keep saying he's a human Rorschach test. Like people, how you react to him is almost involuntary for some of these people.
Well, they do play into his hands, as Troy said, but I will correct Troy on one thing. He never said coronavirus was a hoax. He said the Democrats are going to use the response of his administration as their next hoax to try to get rid of him as president. You know, first it was Russia, then it was the Ukraine, and now his reaction to coronavirus is going to be their next hoax. So that's been something that's been misreported in the Australian media repeatedly. But I judge Trump on what he does as opposed to what he tweets or fights he gets in with the media. And it wasn't just a travel ban that he did early, and he did against WHO advice, but Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci, who are two world-renowned experts in their field who are on the task force, have said that every time they recommended a further measure to him, he went ahead with it. So even though his first inclination may have been for businesses to start trading again in Easter, that was the goal, when they said, no, we've got to extend this virtual lockdown until April 30, that's what he did. When they said we've got to ban travel from the UK, that's what he did. So he has followed the expert advice all the way through. And the funny thing with those media commentators who've downplayed this crisis is that those same commentators have not only been critical of Trump and his response, but they've been critical of Fox News, and like we've had the ABC be critical of us and Fox News, when they are guilty of precisely what they accuse their ideological opponents of. And I think it was fantastic for him to show that, to throw that fake news in their face, and the meltdown from CNN was delicious.
Oh, it is always fun to watch. It really is.